All right, you're welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast this Wednesday morning. How do we start? As usual, with a look at the papers today. And yes, Ayodele Adio is very much with us to look at the papers. There's a managing editor of Gloom TV.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Joining
nice
us.
to see you. Yeah.
All right, we'll begin with the Daily Trust. Why we need more external debt? That's the federal government. Of course, the Daily Trust is moving away from all the politics that seems to have been drowning us for some weeks now. Profile stands at 22.38 trillion naira. That's the debt profile, of course, and the DMO has revealed that 22.38 trillion. And in 1 year, both the federal, state, and local governments borrowed some a little over 2 trillion naira in 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that we've been borrowing the last 3 years. Particularly it's hit astronomical heights. But some people want to argue in the DMO that our debt to GDP ratio is still at a bearable level. But that's just half the truth, because what is of consequence is your ability to service those debts, which has to tie to your revenue.
Revenue to GDP.
Revenue. So what we're doing at the end of the day is that we're taking more of our revenue to service debts, leaving few to go into infrastructure and capital projects at the end of the day. So if we continue to borrow, we constantly shoot ourselves in the foot, keep burdens for future generation, because it is clear that most of these borrowings have really not been targeted on real infrastructure.
And that's the point. The question is, have these borrowings been justified so far?
In countries where you even talk about the GDP to debt to GDP ratio, you look at the per capita income of each of the citizen. You look at inflation rate. You look at the infrastructure on ground. These are all foundational things that will make the debt to GDP comfortable or not comfortable for the country or for the economy.
We just banded the debt to GDP ratio
based on the figures.
Based on the
figures.
Meanwhile, the federal government is saying we're still going to borrow a whole lot more in addition to this. Okay, IGP overhauls SARS after Osinbajo's directive. Of course, they had to take the acting president's directive for this to happen.
Have they overhauled SARS?
Okay. All right.
I mean, because as we speak, and I mean, yesterday night news broke out, that a reporter from the Premium Times paper was being detained and was picked up by SARS, by the same SARS, and he's being forced to disclose his source. Now, how can you see this constant insult on the state and authority of the executive? Consistently, I don't get it. Even if it's for the sake of shame, national shame in front of an international community, the vice president and the acting president has just made a proclamation to say, okay, we're going to reform SARS. And then minutes later, news is breaking out that you're detaining a reporter.
And reports say the policeman, one of the police officers involved in this, actually said he didn't care.
He didn't care. Had you made such
a
we have continued to live in a country where there are no consequences for actions by public officers.
Let's hope there'll be consequences this time around. INEC registers 23 new political parties. So Nigeria officially has 91 political parties. How about that?
Okay. And maybe still
lots
counting.
of paper. Lots of paper.
Loads of paper. And sleeping kidnapped suspect dies in police custody. Remember that last week he went into coma. So much tramadol found on him and all of that. Now he's finally passed on. Really
well, I guess because they've always talked about this inducement so that they can have the guts to carry out anything they want to carry out.
And have this superhuman feeling.
The basic funny that he had to die in the police custody. What you would have thought was after he was apprehended, he would have been taken to the hospital
in that state,
to get him back to fit, question, examine him, cross-examine him, and know his ring. And the other suspects possibly in the kidnapping ring. But what we have done is just the typical Nigerian way. You bungle him, locking up his dead.
Like Wole
we have no other
said,
information about anything, and it's quite sad.
Wole Soyinka said, and the man died. 2019, Obasanjo defections can't stop Buhari. That's according to Tinubu there. And Forex wholesale market, others get $210 million a CBN boost.
All right, let's move to the Nation newspaper now. Anger over Saraki's refusal to recall National Assembly. No plan to recall lawmakers, and Senate House leaders warn against constitutional crisis.
I mean, that's
still have this issue.
The National Assembly is episode 2 of what is coming.
Or maybe season 2.
Of season 2. But, you know, I wasn't expecting. I would have been shocked if the leadership of the National Assembly had, you know, reconvened yesterday, because it would have been nothing but chaos yesterday. They will probably not have been able to manage the fallouts that have happened yesterday. It would have been rowdy, unruly.
So they've saved Nigerians the drama of reconvening.
And you see, I keep saying that there are blames on every side, you know, of the divide. Because the argument now on the one side is that, you know, the leadership of the National Assembly are not putting the country first, because there's a budget for the INEC that is supposed to be sat on and be passed. But then if you look at it from the other side, why didn't you put that budget in the 2018 that you passed?
Yeah, exactly. That's a big question.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. If you were concerned about
it was an afterthought.
Exactly. If you were concerned about it, you would have put it in that budget.
In the budget.
And ensure that it was passed. And you're bringing it, you know, on the 8th day of the week.
And even besides that, the estimation for the election was submitted to the president sometime in February.
Exactly.
And it took so long, because some senators are arguing this whole budget and the whole INEC stuff was given to the president or the presidency in February. And it took so long for it to be passed to the National Assembly.
They just want Nigerians to be in the middle of this so-called blame game. The National Assembly is the bad guy, the executive is the bad guy. People need to do their jobs. Did we just wake up in the morning and think elections was going to happen in 2019?
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Oshibajo orders SARS overhaul. We've talked about that. Electricity workers threaten shutdown. Okay. INEC to announce elections program on Friday. Okay. And then Lagos APC to direct primaries. Tinubu knocks defectors. Well, the issue of direct primaries is one thing that, if you listen to the viral videos by Yusuf Lasun, the Deputy Speaker of the House, when he said that at his own time, in his own state, direct primaries were conducted when he was for the primaries when he was contesting for governorship, and after that, in the next neighboring state, they reverted back to the delegate system. So. I wonder...
the topsy-turvy...
Exactly.
But, you know, I'll be delighted, even though a few people have expressed a lot of skepticism, you know, and I understand the skepticism, but if we are going to move towards a situation where political parties will have open primaries and every card-carrying member of a political party can vote for a preferred candidate, we would have moved a step forward in the right direction. Because what that would have done is to take the power from a delegate system who do not care really about the policies of the party or the government. They just wait for 3 years for their own turn, because that's the time you politicians are going to come back to us and let's have our slice of the cherry. So if you move that away from that delegate system, where about 2-3 in Lagos, about 6,000 people delegates will decide who the card carrying the flag bearer of the party is, to a more open system where the guy in Ajegunle or the guy in Surulere who has a card, who has a stake, can vote for a preferred candidate, then you would have opened the roof.
Exactly.
You know, you have opened the space for
Good
better
way to go then.
participation.
All right, to the punch now. Oshomole Saraki will be lawfully and democratically impeached. I insist that 49 senators cannot preside over the affairs of a House in which APC has 56 senators. It's still very much unclear exactly who has the majority and who has the minority, but does it really even matter? Now, Senate governed by rules not dictated from outside the chamber. That's according to Senate President Saraki, the man in the eye of the storm.
I mean, it's 49-56. Yeah. How are you going to impeach him? I mean, if the PDP have 49, it's just simple wishful thinking. Rather than waste energy, and, you know, for me, press time and your PR budget or your on Saraki, use that press money or the PR budget you have for your office to do more meaningful things. Except, of course, the return of Christ is going to happen next week. I don't see you impeaching Saraki. Because there are also some people in the APC that, I mean, we don't even need to call names. We know that they were funded, they were backed, supported by Bukola Saraki to get into that Senate.
Okay.
And their loyalty lies there.
So there's no way it's going to happen.
There were also the argument of the new by-elections that were just conducted were from Bauchi and Katsina, where APC won.
Yes.
So it means it's going to jack up the number of the APC senators.
senators.
But we also know that ABGA also has, and ADC also has senators in the House too.
Yes.
ABGA has
even
two,
if you put all of that, it still does not get to a two-third majority.
Two-thirds is 73
Exactly.
senators.
Okay. Still does
You
not get to
you
it.
require 73 senators to
All right,
reach any
guys.
Senate president.
Let's move on. We're still going to have enough time to
talk about,
this.
of course.
35 killed, feared killed as bridge collapses in Italy. This bridge was 50 years old and was undergoing rehab.
Maintenance.
Yeah, for this to happen.
Quite disheartening.
Really, very, very sad. Very, very sad. You know, while watching this yesterday, you couldn't help but think about our own bridges here in Nigeria.
Suffering.
We've been talking about the Third Mainland Bridge for a while now, the repair work and all of that back and forth. We don't know what the state of that is. All right, Obasanjo can't tell us who to vote for. That's Tinubu. Lagos APC adopts direct primary. All right, Tinubu says to Obasanjo, go face your poultry farm.
I love you.
And leave this governance thing alone.
You have to love politics.
I mean,
barely 3 years ago, he was at Otatu, you know.
Exactly.
Causing up to Obasanjo to support their candidate
It
at the
just
time.
tells you that really they're all friends. Politics really should not mean enmity. As simple as ABC. All right, lawmakers can sit anywhere in Benue. Speaker replies court. Really, can they?
I mean, I don't know how that works if they can sit anywhere with or without the mace. You know, these days the interpretation.
I think the mace is the central.
Yeah, the central. I mean,
central symbol of
So
authority.
if you take the mace under the bridge, you can sit. Is that what we're saying? All right. I'm qualified, not desperate to be president, says Atiku, former vice president. Well, when a man jumps from party A to party B and from B to A back and then A to C and then C back to A, some people might just say, this is desperation.
Yeah, I wouldn't crucify
else.
a man for jumping political parties in Nigeria because...
No, nobody's crucifying
him. Like we say, the political parties
are
just mere vehicles, you know, for political aspirations.
To achieve. Okay, he says he has what it takes anyway to be president. I collected 15,000 naira, says vigilante who trafficked schoolgirl to Burkina Faso. Oshibajo orders IG to reorganize SARS. INEC okays 91 political parties for 2019 polls, disqualifies 121.
91 parties.
91 parties. Okay, let's move to the Daily Sun now. As Oshibajo reads the Riot Act, SARS shakeup. Squad to exist in state, zonal commands under commissioner, and now to engage in intelligence gathering, fight armed robbery, kidnapping. Operatives barred from stop and search. Stop and search, stop and search. We've heard that roadblock dismantled. We've heard all of those before, but one way or the other, we still have them on our roads. Saraki Dogara saying no to National Assembly reconvening. Again, APC, PDP trade words. We've talked about that. And Khan declares 3-day national prayer for peace and security. Yeah, they say they're praying against the threat to Nigeria's democracy. Very good, I mean. Well, prayers are good. Prayers are good. Yeah. Well, however, everyone has said to do their job. Yeah, you know, but besides prayer, the work should be more, and then prayer backs it up, one way or the other. You know, like somebody says, you know, when you're done praying, you get up and do the work that it requires. So it's still the same thing. As ABC. All right. Arrest warrant on INEC chairman stands. Judge insists as the commission registers 23 new political parties. Why Buhari will win in 2019? Presidency is giving reasons there. And 2019, how APC candidate will emerge. Tinubu is giving revelations there. Okay, to the Vanguard now. Hackers break into banks' database, siphon millions of naira from customers' accounts. I know someone who, from his account, they actually transferred 600,000 from his account. That was last week. Above, that's 100,000 above the limit he had set, and the bank has been trying to justify it. All right, Buhari will contest, win irrespective of vocal minority. That's according to the president. And SARS
Oshibajo orders probe of abuses. IG rejects squad. Appoints CP to head new unit. Orders states to obey with immediate effect and automatic alacrity, if I could add that. Remember?
Zubedaya, yeah.
Senior lecturer, son, raped 13-year-old maid and victim down with VVF. This one leaves you speechless, really. DMO raises 410 billion naira to finance 2018 budget. Buhari's re-election, you can't speak for Nigerians. Tinubu blasts Obasanjo. We've talked about everything here, really, haven't we?
I'm hoping that the political leaders on both sides of the divide, and while the likes of Tinubu and the party bigwigs are talking about the re-election of their candidate, what I would love to hear is how the policies they've implemented in the last 3 years have turned around the lives and fortunes of Nigerians.
Impacting the average Nigerian.
And not about, Obasanjo can't tell us to do this, the minority cannot, we want to hear. I mean, you've been in office for 3 years. It should be easy to sell, the successes of your administration the past 3 years. So what we want to hear you talk about consistently is what you've been able to do. That's why where every single state or city Trump gets into, the first thing he's screaming at your faces is that jobs are going up, unemployment is at the lowest, taxes have been lowered, corporate are hiring more. You need to run a campaign based on the achievements that you have, and not this bulldog approach you see party bigwigs doing and say nobody can tell us what to do, this is the person we're going with. Talk about what you've done, how you've changed the lives of Nigerians, and then we can have an honest debate.
And even when you talk about how you've changed the lives of Nigerians, I mean, can Nigerians themselves say, yes, indeed, we feel some level of change
That is where the resonance should even come from, where the Nigerians themselves are saying that we have felt this, we've seen this, and we've seen that, and all of that. Now, let's do the last paper now, New Telegraph. Oshomole to senators, impeach Saraki, get automatic ticket. Wow, this is another dimension now. Says no court will stop Senate President's removal. APC Senate President, on APC, Senate President luring lawmakers with 100 million naira each. Whoa. And Saraki, Dogara, why we didn't reconvene the National Assembly. Now, some have said that the new national chairman of the APC, his approach is proactive, but it seemed to be heating the polity.
I mean, he's already been described as a bull in the China, China shop.
2 weeks ago, he talked about deploying the labor tactics, and probably this is some of what we're seeing, deploying the labor tactics. But this is not an aluta, right? I keep shouting to the rooftop that there's a difference between activism and governance. It's two different things. One, you can thrive on division, and the second one, you need to pull people together. Leadership and governance is about bringing people together towards a common purpose and a common goal. Yeah. If you continue to annoy the people within your own political party and some of the people already in your camp, and then you keep making statements in the public that look combative, that look divisive, I don't know how you're going to get the numbers, to do the bidding. And to me, quite frankly, it's beginning to look like you have a personal dog in this fight, at the end of the day. So do your job, work underneath, lobby if you would, get other senators in your camp. But the idea of constantly going out and shouting that would impeach this man.
It's all right. Well, even the concept of impeach Saraki, get automatic tickets.
I mean, it's just funny.
It's okay.
Well,
it seemed like he's taking the power of who should be the candidate from the people themselves.
Exactly.
And all right, strategic investors to own 50% of Nigeria Air. Ethiopian Airlines submits bid, and Sirika, we have no favorite.
Okay, the ongoing debate of the
Nigeria Air, yes.
I think the ICRC, the regulatory body, argues that first of all, the government must have not more than I think 5% stake in it, and this is largely so that the private sector funds can come in, private sector expertise and management can also flow in. However, it seemed to us when the launching happened in the UK that all of these things had already added up, and that's why there was an official launch of the logo and everything. But I mean, what we've continued to see over time is that there's still a lot of bidding going on.
Exactly.
A few signatures haven't been appended in the right places. You know, so why the fanfare in the first place?
All right. NNPC to establish 2 refineries in Warri, Port Harcourt. Okay. What happened to the ones we have right now? Presidency, SGF, President's victory not negotiable. Dan Kwambo consults OBJ, and delayed breastfeeding raises newborn death. Expert. Well, we read that to get details of breastfeeding. Now, Oshibajo orders IGP to overhaul SARS, probe rights abuse. And poly lecturer remanded for defiling minor. This was really troubling when we heard this.
Keeps happening over and over and over again.
13-year-old.
Extremely sad.
Okay. Government spent 2 trillion naira to fund police in 10 years. How well off are they?
The police now.
All right. This is where we end the paper review now. Ayodele Adio, thank you so much for coming, but we'll be keeping you for the next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.